Have you ever noticed something strange about success? Why do some people rise quickly, achieve something impressive, and then slowly stop growing? Why does the first victory sometimes become the very thing that quietly limits a person's future? Most people believe success is the beginning of a greater journey, but sometimes success becomes the place where the journey ends. This is the story of a man named Ethan Parker. Ethan grew up in a small town where opportunities seemed limited, but dreams were plentiful. His father worked as a mechanic. His mother ran a small convenience store on the corner of their street. They weren't poor, but they were careful with every dollar. And from a young age, Ethan understood something simple about life. If he wanted more, he would have to build it himself. In school, Ethan was known as the ambitious one. While many of his classmates talked about weekend plans, Ethan spent long evenings learning about business, marketing, and technology. He wasn't the smartest student in the room, but he had something else, an unusual persistence. When Ethan graduated from college, he didn't follow the safe path that most people expected. Instead of applying for traditional jobs, he started a small online business. At first, it was nothing impressive. Just a simple website selling customized phone cases. The first few months were difficult. Orders were rare, money was tight. There were days when Ethan wondered if he had made a terrible mistake, but he kept going. Late nights, long weekends, countless small adjustments to the website, the designs, the marketing. Slowly, something began to change. A few customers turned into dozens. Dozens turned into hundreds. Within 2 years, Ethan's small business was generating more money than most people his age were earning at full-time jobs. Friends admired him. Family members told his story with pride. Even people who had once doubted him began asking for advice. Ethan had done something remarkable. He had built success from nothing. And for a while, everything felt exciting. But something subtle started to happen, something almost invisible. At first, Ethan continued pushing forward. He looked for new products to sell. He experimented with advertising. He read books about entrepreneurship and growth. But over time, the urgency began to fade. The business was making enough money. More than enough, actually. Ethan moved into a nicer apartment. He bought a new car. He started enjoying the freedom he had worked so hard to achieve. And gradually, the hunger that once drove him began to soften. The long nights became less frequent, the experiments stopped. The ideas he once chased with excitement started feeling unnecessary. After all, the business was already working. Why fix something that wasn't broken? At first, nothing seemed wrong. The income stayed steady. The website kept running. Orders continued arriving. From the outside, Ethan still looked successful. But inside, something had changed. The part of him that once pushed forward with curiosity and determination had grown quiet. Success had given him comfort, and comfort had quietly replaced ambition. One evening, Ethan attended a small networking event for entrepreneurs. It was the kind of event he used to love. A room filled with people building things, sharing ideas, and talking about possibilities. During the event, he met an older man named Daniel. Daniel had built several companies over the years, but what made him interesting wasn't just his success. It was the calm curiosity in the way he spoke. When Daniel asked Ethan about his business, Ethan proudly explained how it had grown and how stable it had become. Daniel listened carefully. Then he asked a simple question. So what are you building next? Ethan paused. He hadn't expected that question. Well, the business is doing well, he replied. I'm mostly maintaining it right now. Daniel nodded slowly. Then he said something that stayed with Ethan long after the event ended. You know, the most dangerous moment in someone's life is often right after their first success. Ethan frowned slightly. What do you mean? Daniel smiled. Success changes something inside us, he said. It removes the pressure that forced us to grow, he continued. When people struggle, they are curious, they experiment, they learn quickly because they have to. But after success arrives, comfort appears. And comfort has a strange effect. It convinces us that the person we became during the climb is good enough to stay the same. Ethan thought about that sentence for a long moment. Good enough to stay the same. Daniel leaned forward slightly. The problem is that life doesn't stay the same. Markets change, people change, opportunities change, and if we stop growing and the world eventually grows past us. Ethan didn't respond immediately, but something about those words unsettled him. That night he returned home and opened his laptop, not to check orders, not to review sales, but to think. For the first time in a long while, Ethan asked himself an uncomfortable question. Had he stopped growing? When he looked honestly at the past year, the answer was difficult to ignore. He hadn't learned many new skills. He hadn't taken big risks. He hadn't challenged himself in the way he once had. His business was still successful, but the person who built it had stopped evolving. The realization felt strange, because success had always been his goal. But now he understood something surprising. Success can quietly freeze a person in time, not because success is bad, but because success can make comfort feel permanent. The next morning, Ethan did something he hadn't done in months. He started learning again, not because he needed to survive, but because he realized something important. Growth is not something you do until you succeed. Growth is something you must continue long after success arrives. He began studying new business models. He explored new industries. He reached out to people who were building things far beyond what he had created. At first it felt uncomfortable, almost like starting over. But slowly, the old excitement returned. The curiosity, the sense that there was still so much more to understand. Within a year, Ethan launched a new project. This time it wasn't about repeating the same formula. It was about building something better, something more ambitious. But the most important change wasn't the project itself. It was Ethan. He no longer saw success as a destination. He saw it as a checkpoint, a moment to pause briefly, and then continue moving forward. Years later, when people asked Ethan about the secret to growth, he rarely talked about strategies or tactics. Instead, he shared a simple idea. The first success is a test, he would say. It asks a quiet question. Will you keep growing, or will you protect the version of yourself that already won once? Because the truth about life is this: success does not guarantee progress. Many people achieve something meaningful early in life, a promotion, a profitable business, a recognition that proves their talent. And then, without realizing it, they begin protecting that achievement instead of building new ones. They stop experimenting. They avoid risks. They repeat what once worked again and again. But growth rarely lives in repetition. Growth lives in curiosity, in humility, in the willingness to remain a student even after becoming successful. The people who continue rising in life usually share one quiet habit. They refuse to let their first victory define their limits. They understand something that many others forget. The version of you that achieved your first success is not the final version of who you can become. Life is always expanding. Opportunities are always shifting. And the greatest danger is not failure. The greatest danger is standing still while believing you have already arrived. So if you have already experienced success in your life, even a small one, ask yourself an honest question. Are you still growing? Are you still learning things that make you uncomfortable? Are you still curious about what lies beyond what you already know? Because the people who continue evolving, who continue asking questions, who continue challenging themselves, Those are the people whose lives keep expanding long after their first success. And perhaps the real lesson is this: success is not meant to be a place where you stop. It is meant to be a door that opens into a much larger world, but only if you keep walking. Thank you for spending these moments reflecting on life with us. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to like the video and share your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy thoughtful stories about life, growth, and the deeper lessons behind success, consider subscribing to the channel. Your support helps this community continue growing. Thank you for watching, and wherever you are on your journey, may you never stop becoming the next version of yourself.